Hmm.
And they told agents that it's okay to forget the United States Constitution. Just do
That's
what you
right.
got to do. Just get the job done when we give you the orders. And that
Hmm.
is the problem. You can't backtrack from something like that when you have a workforce that knows that anything they need to do to meet the objective that they can do and get away with. I just don't see any. I don't see any way you can backtrack from that, Joe. And I don't think Kash Patel knew taking the
No.
job of how bad things were inside the FBI. What do you
Yeah,
think?
yeah, he's been, to me, a real
Disappointment.
a disappointment is a nice way to put it. Yeah,
Yeah.
this anybody's looking at it objectively over the last decade could see this organization needs a major overhaul. You need to fire a number of people. It's a huge percent, maybe up to 50%, and maybe like you were saying, shut it down because it is not working for the American people as it did. There's 30,000 people that work for the FBI too. That's not a small organization. That's one of the largest corporations in America. That's how big it is. There's Fortune 500 firms that aren't that big by far. I worked at one, the Fortune 500 firm with 3,000 employees
You were an auditor.
worldwide. So yeah,
You were an auditor.
and in finance too. So, anyways, yeah, Ty Levenger is this attorney Clevenger, who's been working for years on the Seth Rich case. Seth Rich was an individual worked in the for the DNC. He was a Bernie supporter back in 2016. He didn't like Hillary. He knew some funny things were going on. He's in D.C. and suddenly these emails get leaked to WikiLeaks. And what they ended up saying, as we all know, is that Russia stole those emails and gave them to WikiLeaks, which was a lie. It
It
was
was
a
a lie.
lie,
Still is.
and
It still
it's
is a
still,
lie,
and
Joe.
we have evidence. Yeah, and we have evidence of it. I mean, some of these IT guys looked at it and said, "There's no way that this stuff could have been hacked. The way that the data comes in, it's from a format that you would have to have almost immediate connection to that server, which means a flash drive, which led us to Seth Rich. He gets murdered in July of 2020,
How convenient.
uh, and they said it was a robbery, and yet his wallet, his phone, his watch, his money was all found on his person. The cops were there almost immediately, and he was shot in the back a couple times and did not survive the night. So this guy dies. The narrative has changed that Trump is working with Russia to steal these emails of Hillary's and
Right.
give to WikiLeaks because they were released. And here's the sham of the whole thing. If you look back, Jake,
Yeah.
nobody has been indicted for the
Nope.
acts that were on those emails. There was massive corruption with John Podesta
John
admitting to all
Podesta.
sorts of
Yep.
stuff. There was even this whole thing about Pizzagate. That was all on there. That started from those emails as well. Nothing happened, and that's our FBI. So here we are 10 years forward. This Clevenger continues to try to get information. He does FOIA requests after FOIA requests. He's found them in lies. They said they had nothing. Then he found out they had a laptop. Then he found out they had two laptops, Seth Rich's personal and his work
But
laptop.
where's Kash
Oh
Patel in
my.
all this, Joe? Where's
Yeah,
Kash Patel? I thought he was the
right.
one that was going to set the FBI on the straight
He's
and narrow.
lost.
Where
He's
is he?
gone. He's lost. And he yeah, he's obviously nowhere to be found because they still delay, deny any more information on Seth Rich. We saw now what they did with one of these operations where they changed the letter from a O to a zero. So if anybody does a FOIA, they'll never get it because it's in a zero instead of an O. This is the kind of things they were doing to block the information related to their crimes. And here's the biggest
That's a
thing.
cover
These
up.
people,
When you
yes,
change a letter so someone can't do a search and find it, that is a cover up, Joe.
it's terrible. And these people need to be arrested and held to the fullest extent of the law, to the fullest, because we put these people in positions that are so important that we want them to be good soldiers, good men. And when they fall outside the lines, they need to be punished severely. And nothing's happened. Jim Comey, this thing with the 87,
Yeah,
whatever,
the
40,
seashells at the seashore.
86, 47, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, it's like That is, and I have a liberal brother who called me and says, "Isn't that silly? That we're spending time on that." And in a way, he's right because it's like Comey should be up for sedition,
Oh, absolutely.
treason.
Yeah. You're
This
pulling at
guy,
straws.
what he
You're pulling at
did,
straws trying to try to get Comey on something like that
yeah,
when he did real crimes. And again,
yeah,
I have a question here for you, Joe. How many dirty FBI agents have been convicted thus far, Joe?
no,
Zero.
none. Yeah,
Nada.
zero. It's a joke. No, it's a
It
joke,
is a
and it
joke.
should be thousands. And so, really, yeah, we're to the point. Shut it down, like you were saying 4 years ago. Shut it down. Start new. It's contaminated. I've heard a guy from Judicial Watch mention this some time ago.
Yeah.
Farley. He said, "Shut it down. Move all the cases over to the U.S. Marshals, and slowly fill that operation with the manpower that you need. Get the FBI out of this. It's been corrupt
Oh,
since it was started."
Judge Napolitano is a regular guest on this program, and his position is once you allow FBI agents change the culture and allow them to do what they've been allowed to do since the Patriot Act was put in place. There's no way, Joe, that you're going to clean it up because once you tell people you can do stuff, it's hard to say at some point in time you can't do it because they're always going to feel that they can always
Mhm.
step over the line and there's no accountability.
Right.
That's it.
And they're saying we got Joe DeGeneva down here, who I like Joe. I've had him on my show in the past, and he's a great guy. He was in a DOJ.
Yep.
He's supposedly running some investigations and going to bring some indictments down here in Florida, but we haven't seen Boo. And the time clock keeps ticking. Nothing's happened.
No, and
Americans
apparently
are frustrated.
John Solomon is working as well, Joe. And
Yeah.
I guess we're just going to have to. We've been patient to this point. We're
Yeah.
just going to have to be
Yeah.
patient. My
Right.
friend, our good friend Joe Hoft, the publisher of JoeHoft.com. He's also the author of the books, The Steal Volumes 1 through 3. To get ready for the 2026 midterms, you need to read what was done to steal the 2020 election in The Steal Volumes 1, 2, and 3. My friend, it's good to see you. You're looking well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You too, for that
All right,
matter.
thanks, Joe, and we'll talk to you soon. All
Thanks.
right. You're listening to Your News Talk America. We're going to shift to international affairs on Digital Interactive Friday. We'll be back with more. You can watch the program if you choose. We're streaming video right now at realnewstalk.com, or perhaps you want to watch it at Facebook Live. Either way, you'll see that I'm wearing a tie today and I'm sitting behind the shiny golden microphone. We're back to talk international affairs in just a moment. Stay with us.